When last we saw the good doctor, he'd been captured by the Russians in Teotihuacan, only to wake up here on the VI Podovkin, a shipping vessel under military command. This is a clever little level that I didn't used to like because it gets a little twisty, but I greatly appreciate it now as an adult. It starts off with Indy stripped of his equipment, so we're not going to go guns blazing, or fists blazing, or blazing anything until we make like Metal Gear Solid and hoof it in stealth mode for a bit. First things first, check out the grating above the prison bed. It has a lock on it, but once you examine it...
Hey, it's unlocked.
From here we can move through the air vents to sneak around a bit, but we won't get far with the guard outside our door roaming around. To solve this, we're going to need to get his attention twice, then hop into the air vent after the second time, and beat feet down to close the door and lock him in the brig.
Остановись! Ты!
After a little cat and mouse during which we need to set off some equipment failure and decoy doors in order to distract guards, Indy comes across the invisibility piece of the Infernal Machine. Now we can roam around a little bit easier until we make towards the back of the boat and our stash of gear.
My trusted law firm, Smith & Wesson.
Now, despite appearances, you do get all of your previous equipment back from this pile, not just the whip, revolver, and machete. Everything's here except the other two pieces of the Infernal Machine, which we're going to need to track down individually. By this point, the guards have figured out that Jones is on the loose, so we'll be up to our necks in reds pretty soon. First point of business is to use the shipping crates to reach the upper levels and get some sweet coin on the way. If you haven't been hoarding rifle ammunition up until this point, now is the time to do so. Most enemies here have either rifles or 9mm pistols, and since 9mm ammo is easy to come by anyway, you can pretty much tackle the lion's share of soldiers with the pistol to stock up on rifle ammo. You'll need that for the next couple of levels after this. VI Podovkin is a little tricky to navigate, but as long as you don't get too turned around, you'll be fine. I have the tendency to lose my way in video games really fucking easy for some reason, which is why I constantly find myself using maps to get by. Not here though, I want that adventurer feel, so I'm getting by on my own. We'll find the Quake piece and use that to blow open a rusted wall to access the rest of the ship, during which we'll end up in a room full of crates and a crane. Do yourself a favor and set up the nether crystal now so you won't have to later. It's a pretty obvious puzzle solution that you don't need the hover part in order to understand. Head topside, open up another rusted wall, tackle some more soldiers for the ammo, and locate the escape boat for later. Sneak inside and then...
Maraway, Lieutenant. The Nile River, the Kingdom of Kush. These exotic sites are foreign to Sovietsky grazdany, but that will change as we change the world, eh? That's where the Babylonian secret lies, buried with King Nub, who used it to defeat his Egyptian Ugnitotili. Somehow, no one has ever claimed the treasure. Is it too well hidden, too dangerous? Does the power strike the finder like a curse? I wonder about these things. Then, when my resolve weakens, we capture Jones. Now, using that Amerikansky adventurist and the tools he has so kindly provided, we budем imet uspieszny. Indeed, history is on our side.
What have we here?
Back down to the crate room to lift ourselves up to the engine area, where we'll bump into the first of the big bruiser enemy types. They're rough and mean and have a tendency to carry submachine guns. I got lucky with the first one. Almost not so much with the second, who is guarding a crank to lower the lifeboats. Take that to the boat, and we're off and running. Overall, fairly straightforward map that's got the stealth aspect in the beginning going for it, and some neat navigation tricks that keep you on your toes. I like it, as I said, it's very clever. Now, here I finally get to address the between-level shop, which I couldn't capture in part 1 of these videos because the shop windows pop up as actual Windows command boxes. So while I normally capture game footage with Bandicam straight from the game itself, when I was recording this footage, I forgot I had it set on capture screen. So when the window for the shop popped up, I actually accidentally recorded it. You can see here how the treasure you find in the game adds money to your wallet, and how you can spend your wallet on ammo, health, and a secret map. Now, the secret map is pretty killer, but you won't need it because there's a way to access that on its own. I'll get to that in a little bit. Don't bother spending the $2,500. Now, speaking of clever maps... Man, and this area is fucking loaded with atmosphere. From the opening drive up in the Jeep, yes, we're driving the Jeep again, but it's better this time, I swear, to exploring the surrounding desert for clues before venturing into the pyramids themselves, everything here starts up the best segment of the game.
The Nubian kings. Vlodnikov thinks one of those kings came from Babylon, and his tomb is where? What's this? King Solomon's Mines, property of Heinrich Horner, Aktiengesellschaft, 1923. More like wishful thinking incorporated, if you ask me.
Where before we got snippets of story and ideas and plot about the 4 followers of Marduk who spread out after the fall of Babel, now we get actual personality and story behind King Nub, who came to Egypt and used his power to retain his kingliness. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So first off, we spot a boy in the distance who hides in a collapsed tunnel because the local hyenas are frightening him. It's an easy enough task. There's something like 9 or 10 hyenas about, and you can take them out either using the Jeep or your guns. They're vicious as hell, so be wary and accurate with your shots. Rifle is good from afar, but if they get too close, the rifle won't hit them. You'll know that you've gotten them all when a brief Raiders cue plays. In the midst of all of this, there's a shack with a locked door. Head around to one side of it though, and Indy will auto-target a stack of TNT inside. Blow it up to make a nice hole in the wall, and grab everything now, so you don't have to backtrack. Once the hyenas are donezo, we'll move on, but park the Jeep outside the pyramid with the locked metal door. That's for later, and you don't have to do too much running around here anyway.
This isn't a natural pit. Horner dug a mighty big hole here. There's something over there, but I don't think I can balance on that rail.
Thanks to English gentlemen for killing the fierce hyenas.
American. I'm an American.
Civilized, like English, yes?
Don't be too sure.
Industrialized too, I bet. Here to reopen the mines.
I think there's something over there I need. You want to help me find out?
That chap Horner was very industrialized. He discovered King Solomon's mines right here in Meraway.
Those mines are a myth. You gonna help me or not?
What if there's something I need? Will you help me?
Maybe. Depending. I don't do miracles or anything fancy, kid.
I have observed that industrialized men wear watches. Now, if I had a watch...
Sorry, kid. I have no idea what time it is.
I'll wait while you find out.
Alright, let's start putting some pieces together. First, the drive chain from the shack. Use that over here to start up the digging machine and head down into the pit. Once you're there, find the abandoned minecart and steal a wheel from it. On the other end of the pit is the skeletal remains of Heinrich Horner himself, along with his pocket watch. That's a fantastic coincidence. Now take the watch back up to the broken rail for the boy to re-enter the picture and help us out.
Something's over there. What is it?
Where's my watch? Ah.
Hey, not so fast. Take good care of this, kid. It once belonged to the man who discovered King Solomon's mines.
Ha! Now I own a machine. I am industrialized.
Here's where things start to get a little fun. Take note of the images on the outside of each pyramid. There's a lion, a hippo, a jackal, and an alligator. Head around to the side of the lion pyramid, where you'll see handholds that Jones can get all Assassin's Creed with and climb upwards to get inside and open up a path to climb around the other face of the pyramid. climb to a switch, and then open the stone door. Inside from here, it's a game of labyrinth and following signs to make sure you stay on the right path. You'll notice the lion relief on the wall almost immediately. That's your clue to follow. Take those paths wherever you see that face and lead you to the first part of the puzzle. Now, before you do that, take a quick detour to the underground well and use the bucket from the shack on the dipper machine. And you'll see why later. There are some cobra-shaped braziers throughout the underground pathways we'll be using for the majority of the level. You really ought to do yourself a favor and light them when you find them. Where in Teotihuacan, I was lighting the torches just for shits and giggles, this system will help you keep track of where you've been. We're going to be doing a lot of doubling back and turning left instead of right, so every help you can get in navigating all of this will do you wonders. The whole place is fucking awesome. There's traps everywhere, some of which you have to set off in order to progress. Scorpions and spiders and snakes all over the fucking place, so you better have poison remedies at the ready, because no matter how hard I tried to be on point, they got me. All on. In the Lion Pyramid, we finally reach the top and read a stone inscription.
Egyptian hieratic writing. It says, "The light of knowledge opens all doors." Oh, sure. And a dime will get you a cup of coffee. Prismatic eye. What's it looking at?
Now after the cutscene, you make your way back down to the pyramid entrance, and this time take a left to go down instead of right to go up, and we'll find a pathway leading to our next objective. Stick with the hippo drawings for now. Bust open a few weakened walls while avoiding spider damage. Pressing a switch after passing through one of the opened walls will reveal a hidden exit back up to the desert, and the entrance of the Russians again, hot on Jones's trail. Might as well take them out now so you won't have to deal with them later. Here's where that stockpiled rifle ammo comes in real handy. Since we're up here anyway, we might as well find what that shaft of light was all about. You should see a faint colored beam of light as you locate the spot on the sand where it's pointing. Now, walk across that to find... Remember the glass eye that the boy got for us? Here's where we use it. The jackal has a slot for the eye, and it will turn towards the colored beam of light when inserted to unlock one of the 4 golden hands protecting the metal door. Imagine being the guy who needed to test out this locking system. Anyway, back down into the labyrinth. We resume the trail of the hippo and come to a wide room that we'll need to shimmy along part of in order to gain access to the next firewood bundle. Treasure is literally around every corner, so keep your lighter out while exploring so you don't miss any hidden ledges in the dark. Pull a block in place, climb up a series of stacked graves to find a lone bundle of firewood, then follow the hippo ideogram to locate where to place it. Head back down and... Oh, I missed you before. We'll just take care of that. Follow the next beam of light to a pool of water. This is the result of us activating the water dipper earlier with the bucket. Now, since the beam is reflecting off of the water to a different spot, we'll climb up there, place the eye, unlock the second hand, and move onward. This whole fucking level feels like one long, intricate trap, hence part of the personality aspect I mentioned before. Someone went through a lot of trouble to seal off this piece of the Infernal Machine, and it shows. For those of you who enjoy Last Crusade, I'm sure you'll appreciate the steps taken here. Next up, we have a long jump to activate a trap, pull a block into place to set up a ledge for Indy to shimmy across. Look at his little legs dangling with each shimmy. It's really kind of oddly endearing. And we'll come to the path of the crocodile. Ignore that for now. We're gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Use the invisibility piece to get past the eye block on the left path. Then climb more graves. You'll notice the hovering symbol on the floor. That's important. Set up the trap so that you can climb upwards to activate a switch, then hustle down into place so that we can use the hover piece to head up to the next firewood. Move quick. The ceiling is on a timer, and if you take too long, you'll have to set it up again. Back down to the hall where we passed the eye block, we're going to follow the crocodile and open up a room full of...
Oh no, snakes.
This one map has more poisonous animals than the rest of the entire fucking game, I swear to God. Push out the block that leads to the outside for now, and then climb up and over the tombs to find the tunnels dug through the complex. A little light maneuvering, and we'll have the 4th and final fire burning. Activate the last 2 locks. One of them requires moving some blocks around, and then we finally get inside through the metal door. First, grab gasoline from the back of the Jeep, then once you're in the pyramid, put the wheel on the minecart, and then fill it up with gas. I just fucking adore this level. What a great, complex, clever map, utilizing how big the game engine can render areas by building everything inside and under the world. And that's really only part 1 of this set of areas. Next, we are visiting... I don't know why they called it King Saul's Mines versus King Solomon's Mines. Maybe because they didn't want to cross any copyright nonsense with the novel written by H. Rider Haggard. But regardless of how we're going to spell it, these mines are chock full of creativity and treasure and danger at every step. You're going to want to get out of the minecart at certain areas to explore, such as the opening with the snakes, to find hidden treasures and pickups. They're scattered almost everywhere throughout the mine, and you can actually do quite a bit of running back and forth between sections without the cart. First off, though, we're going to need to investigate the control center for the rail cars, where we'll be coming back and forth to switch the tracks in order to access new areas. We can't use any of the switches without power, so first step is to move forward to the first area, grab a fuse, peruse the nearby puzzle area so we know where to come back to for later, and then move on. Since there's a lot to do here, I'm going to try and keep this one brief. Put the fuse in the box, take a full loop around the mine until you come back to the control room, and don't forget to use the crouch button to duck under low-hanging pipes. Indy takes a lot of damage if he bounces his skull off of them. And from here, it's a trial and error process following the map and making the appropriate switches so we can roll along the tracks and find the places we need to go. Track 4 doesn't switch because it's stuck, so don't bother. Soon after, we get...
Capture if possible. Otherwise, Strelya the dog.
Which will make certain sections real hinky when you're just trying to rail past someone and you've got incoming bullets and grenades, and at one point a bazooka as well. Vlodnikov is past fucking around at this point, and it shows. First things first though, this part is obscenely difficult to figure out if you're not paying attention. Get to this gate, and then move your minecart backwards. It'll follow the track that curves off, rather than the one you were on before, so you can move backwards to open up the pressure gate and access a hidden area. You'll need to go over here, so it's crucial you do this at some point. Sooner the better on this one. Get some treasure, swing through a waterfall to find a strange key, swim through the underground river, and when you emerge, it's going to be fun times with commies. Get away from the rogue minecart, take out the guards, and then get back on track. The cart with the Russians is going to be a bitch until we get rid of it. Russians make an attempt to explode Dr. Jones at the generator room, but that actually just makes it so we can pick up a key that we're going to need later. Don't worry about the zip-zapping electricity. Indy can handle a few zaps from that. But in the next room, we've got high-powered rockets and shotguns awaiting us. Did I mention that Vlodnikov is through fucking around? Once again, they've opened up a new area for us to explore in the explosions. With the hole in the ground revealing a new path through the underground river, we're going to have to swim, climb, and perilously jump until we get the first of King Saul's jewels, the first of 3. As you move forward, if you see Russians, it's a good indicator to stop, get out, and search the area. Close by is a locked closet that we can open up with the key we received, and that provides Indy with oil to grease up track 4. Time for a little fun. Clear out central control once you're back there and pay attention to the track map. The green light moving around the tracks is the Russian minecart. I made the mistake of thinking that I needed to use the oil on the lever for track 4, but no, you need to use it on the track switch itself. Once you have, head back to central control to switch track 4 just before the Russians get to it, and watch the fireworks. Serves you right for shooting at me from the back of a minecart. Now that the Russians have, inadvertently, once again broken open a new place to explore, Indy needs to hoof it over to where the Russian cart flew off the rails. I decided to stop my cart over the pressure switch to open gate 5 first and do a little exploring so I could go retrieve the red jewel. Then I made my way to the ravine, whipped across, and blew open a hidden entrance. The blue jewel is set up with a trap, so be ready to move when you grab
A
it.
3rd gem. Too bad I'll never get a chance to cash it in. Now what?
Alright, from here it's just a matter of lining yourself up properly. Insert the strange key and make your way slowly upwards, inserting the proper jewels in the proper places so the nether crystal moves into place, and Indy can hover up to the switch that activates and elevator down to Nubs Tomb. Whew, holy shit. Those 2 levels combined were a ride. Part of what I love about these 2 are, again, the character and personality that they inhabit. both following Heinrich Corner's search for King Solomon's mines, and also that the mines were not only real, but part of the treasure hoard of King Nub, whose tomb we're now about to enter. And not only are we entering this massive tomb, but it marks the gear shift from strictly ancient stone and mortar ruins to ancient alien science fictional stuff. Off the jump, we get an aesthetic shift from Egyptian to Babylonian and some environmental jumping puzzles to navigate. You'd be forgiven for thinking that the far right of the room is accessible from here, but, well, it's not. As we explore down the hall, there's an iron gate and some crumbled architecture, but clambering over the ruins brings us to the first of the sci-fi sights we'll be seeing in the game. What looks like a mechanical metal statue missing a piece to connect to a large metal door. I made the sincere mistake of not paying attention to my surroundings, so I made the journey back through the ruins and down the hall and attempted to make that impossible jump over and over until I finally returned to the mechanical statue room and... Well, remember in the last video how I said this is a game to be played with headphones? Well, using my headphones, I heard what sounded like wind coming through an opening in the stone, and after 20 minutes of meandering, noticed that I could move one of the flanking statues and cut open the tapestry behind it. Once I did that, it was a lever pull and I was back on track through the tomb. After a fun little trap involving unsteady floors, we finally get to access the inaccessible side of the room. Press the switch to set the arm we need into place. And from there, it's a matter of whipping upward to climb into position to crack the whip again and knock the arm to the floor. Hoof it back to the mechanical statue in need of said arm and... Ah shit, the commies again. And they didn't even get a snazzy cutscene to let us know that they were here. Sneaky LucasArts. Fight your way to the door chamber and get the arm in place so we can move into the next area of the tomb.
Open sesame.
Do yourself a favor. Bust out the machine guns starting now, as Jones is about to start tackling more dangerous, more mechanical enemies. Like, well, have a look.
This place is strange. I used to think I knew a lot about archaeology.
All of the robots fly at you fast. They have bladed weapons, and they do area of effect damage when they explode. You let them get too close in any circumstance, and it's bad news bears for you. Head upstairs via nether crystal, open up the floor entrance to the lower levels, only for Vlodnikov to swoop in and get ahead of you. It's a little frustrating to have to open the way twice in a row, since he closes it after him, but I'll blame that on the dock rather than the game. Blast your way through the Russians and engage in a complicated series of climbing up and down and pulling levers to find a key for unlocking the elevator we need to access for the rest of the level. It doesn't work yet, so we're going to need to put a bit more work in. Press the button under the stairs to access more stairs leading down, where we catch Vlodnikov in the act of stealing a gear from a large machine. He's a lot slipperier than he looks, and faster too. Running after him is useless, but setting up a trap to get him into our hands has merits. There's 2 blocks and 1 statue that you need to arrange into place to guide Vlodnikov into cornering himself, after which he shows that he's a professor, not a fighter.
Vlodnikov, now I've got you.
Don't shoot. It's only a bronze gear. You can have it.
Aha.
Use the gear in the elevator, push the block inside to lift up the counterweight, and then we're going to whip our way over to land on the counterweight and head downstairs. Be ready for another couple of robots to get angry with you. Nubs Tomb is a sign of things to come, so if you're noticing that things have gotten a little complicated, you know, even for this game, then it may come as no surprise that we've only begun to scratch the surface. First, pull the block from the elevator to reset the counterweight, and then head over to another swimming area. There's plenty of fish to bite your ass here, so just keep moving so we can collect some treasure and shoot down 2 robots. We're going to need to pull a switch down below to raise a statue that'll let us across. The whole next room is just a hassle. A ball lightning conductor drops down from the ceiling, which shoots bolts of electricity that will absolutely obliterate your health if you're out in the open. Fortunately, if you have to pop out of cover, you can time the lightning strikes based on audio cues, so there's at least that. Find a post to whip up and get around to the upper level. Until you come to a slanted floor, you'll need to slide down and jump from to... I mean, you have to jump off of to... Fuck! Ah, thank fuck. Yes, I abused the quick save here because missing it means meandering all the way around the room to the whipping post to climb up again, to wander all the way around the upper level again, just to try and make this jump and fail it again. So fuck all of that. Upstairs, there's 3 statues to move so that we can lift up the conductor and not have it lightning us while we're here. Be careful to switch over to pushing the statue and don't just pull it the whole way so you don't make my mistake. God fucking damn it, I hate these guys. The switches on either side of the room control the waterways below. You have to press the switches multiple times in order to open up the right waterways, so that the water level drops below the electrical panels, but not so low that we will die if we drop down. I made that mistake and made it too low, so I had to climb all the way back the fuck up so I could re-level the water, so I could finally drop down and swim around, and then I had to climb the antenna, which is fine, except it's not, because any wrong move drops you back down into the water below, where you'll have to swim around again and climb the ladder back up the antenna so you can try to figure out which piece of the antenna to jump towards before missing again and falling again and climbing again and trying again and falling again and climbing again and trying again and falling again and climbing again and trying again and finally getting it right, because you have to roll forward onto one of the branches of the antenna, not jump. I hate this sequence. I hate it so much, and I hate it so much, I wish I could delete it. I hate 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 it. At the top, we get the final piece of the Infernal Machine, the electric piece. Think of it as a fuse on a stick. Hold it up to certain metal panels, use the energy, and voila! Power to the people. No pun intended. There's a fuse box at the bottom of the ladder. We've used too many climbs to climb up to the antenna, and powering it extends the floor so we can get back to the outer edges of the room. Power up another door, and we'll make our way back to the elevator, where we'll have to power up the counterweight, and then finally, take the elevator to our intended destination, the final resting place of King Nub himself.
King Nub, I presume? Hey, what's this? A ruby polished like a lens. Or an eye. A baleful eye.
Once we've gotten the eye, there's a short pedestal nearby to place it into, and then we'll realize we've made a huge mistake.
It fits. Whoa. Take it easy, big fella. I'm no grave robber. If you're willing to overlook this little incident, I am too.
Nub's Guardian is the 4th and final boss we'll face in this world. What you need to do is lure the lumbering giant around the room towards some panels on the floor that you can electrify. They'll zap him good. Get him 3 times and the beast is spent. Now, wherever he stops, you'll be able to use him as a platform to get across and out of Nubs Tomb. However, it isn't exactly daisies and roses that we'll be walking into.
Ow!
Indy, is that you?
More or less.
Are you all right?
I am one hurtin' archaeologist, but I'll live.
Oh, good. Hand up those machine parts you've collected and we'll get you out of there. Indy?
Who's we?
Come on, Jones. We need those parts. Don't you love your country? In the name of the United States of America, man.
I don't know.
Don't trust your fellow Americans, eh? Now you know how we Ruskia feel. In the name of Soyuz Sovietskих Socialistических Republik.
Give me the parts, Jones. He's a commie.
The parts will be safer with me, Doctor. Your friend is a gangster.
What a choice.
Sorry, Indy. And thanks.
Perhaps it's best, Jones. Your Drugi have the machinery. But you have the satisfaction of knowing their betrayal will cost them their lives.
Yeah, that cheers me up.
Those ignorant fools know nothing of Babel, but I have studied, and I know that beneath the foundations of the tower, the cause of all the biblical turmoil waits to complete his designs on mankind.
Who? What are you yammering about?
The Lord Marduk himself crossed over from the Ethereum to inspire the Babylonian priests, and Marduk, potent and malevolent to this day, will have his miest on those who desecrated the great machine. Luckily, you and I are professors at heart, too wise to become so easily ensnared, and too timid. Back to our tea and books now, eh?
My, how the tables have turned. Turns out Turner was the real bad guy all along. Here we go. Infernal Machine marks all the great things about this game. At once, it's a testament to the design and the style Hal Barwood brought to the production. The writing, the level construction, the puzzles, the payoff, it's all perfect. We return to the Babel dig site we visited in level 2, only now we get to head below the ruins and discover what the Babylonians were really doing. Everything here is metal and mechanical, ancient machinery at its finest. Robots are everywhere, as we discover immediately upon descending, but the real danger comes from encountering Turner and Sophia again.
What have we here?
The other side and secure their cooperation with the West. We need an ambassador.
Don't be a fool. You can't go in there. I sense danger, an evil force waiting to destroy us.
Hey, you two. Jones, stay out of this. Don't worry, Sophia. I know my limitations. You're the one with contacts in the spirit world.
Oh, sure. Do I look that crazy to you?
You look like a real diplomat. Impressive, isn't it? We've struck a gold mine, Doctor. Now the Soviets don't stand a chance. Only I'm having some trouble with the controls. You're a professional. You've studied archaeological puzzles. Help me solve this one.
Why should I help a thief?
In the name of freedom, man! We're in a war!
All right, how's this? Stop whatever you're doing right now before you ruin the site. We'll apply for a grant and spend a few years studying the place. Research money's tight these days, but with your connections, it's a sure bet.
Forget your ivory tower, Jones. Here's our chance to save democracy.
Let's vote on it.
That line is so bad ass. It is my favorite line of dialogue from any Indiana Jones media. Little diamond-shaped robots and weird porcupine-ish things that can poison you are everywhere. We have to climb, drop, swim, and figure out how to get through this level without falling prey to some of the perilous drops around the area. Dropping down takes us to a lightning puzzle, which we have to time perfectly or one bolt will kill the good doctor. Turns out Turner placed the pieces of the machine in the wrong pedestals, so we need to collect them and put them in the right spots in order to progress. Now, there's quite a bit of backtracking, but it's backtracking in the best way. As each piece is retrieved and replaced, the environment changes around us, providing new puzzles as we go and hazards to navigate. It's pretty complicated, but it's fairly easy to navigate. The most difficult part is when we finally get the elevators working and find our way up to Sophia is hanging out, where another ball lightning conductor is fucking ridiculous. Okay, so this level isn't perfect, but it is close. It's really close. Before we can attempt this, however, Turner tries to get us to give up the hard way.
Turner, you've got the part I need. Hand it over.
Sorry, can't do that.
Andy, help me!
Come on, it's our only chance to save Sophia.
You don't fool me, Jones. Once you stop the commies, you'll use the machine to take over. That's your plan.
The world's seen enough dictators, don't you think?
You'll never get away.
I had my machine gun on me, so he stood no chance the moment he turned physical. You dumb fuck. Don't fuck with Indiana Jones. Seriously though, this fight can be a pure hassle if you try to use anything that shoots slower than the machine gun. Turner will apparate and disapparate quicker than anything else in the game, so yeah, fuck this dude with the business end of the machine gun and move on. The way to get around the ball lightning is you need to use the invisibility piece before entering the chamber, and then activate one of the buttons on the wall while invisible. Once you've done that, you can hover up to Sophia and collect the Horseman's Head.
Who dares disturb my slumber?
That's me, I guess. Indiana Jones.
Make me whole, Master, that I may obey your wishes.
Reconnect the Horseman and then place the invisibility piece in the right slot to open up the portal to the Ethereum, and we're on to the final level of the story.
Joe, stop! Are you crazy?
Sophia, what have I
Marduk is satisfied.
I fucking hate this level. Where everything about the previous level was a testament to the cleverness of the entire game, Ethereum is sometimes needlessly obtuse and frustratingly difficult to navigate even when you do know where you need to go. You'll need to swim through columns of etheric energy in order to get around and discover thin barriers between this layer of reality and our world. But first, you need to find the correct path to take you up top, where we find the Tool from Beyond. Now, this fantastic little wand can lower the barriers between worlds and let us access reality, which is good because swimming through the etheric columns drains our purple meter, which then drains our health if we run out, and entering our world heals Jones and restores the purple meter. Once we clear through the barriers of worlds, we enter a massive chamber with branching paths. Sophia is here, turning to stone it seems, and exploring the nearby chambers finally gets us an audience with Marduk himself.
Marduk, you're one of those angry gods, I'll bet. Ugly, too.
Welcome to the Ethereum, mortal.
He's tricky to beat as he shoots super deadly bolts of etheric energy, so you'll have to make your way through the branching pathways until we find another thinny across worlds, where we'll find the mirror from Teotihuacan. This will bounce Marduk's energy back at him, even if it's not the most accurate thing in the world. But after about 5 or so hits of his own medicine, he'll take off, leaving behind a nether gem that we can use to lower a different kind of conductor. Indy can whip this to charge his whip with etheric energy, and now we can use that to power up the surrounding conductors, which will lower Sophia to the floor and out of her cage. Finally! Now we can... Ah, for fuck's sake, she just can't catch a break, can she? Okay, so you be forgiven for thinking, like I did, that this is the part of the game where we get to whip the shit out of Marduk and finish off the level. But that's not entirely accurate. Now, that is what I tried to do, and I ended up having to recharge my whip twice, and I used up nearly all of my health items in the process, until I accidentally found another thinny to reality, where I found one of King Saul's jewels, which just so happens to unlock a door at the bottom of the chamber where Marduk is flying about. Opening that lets some of our reality into this world, which causes Marduk pain. So now we have to circle around, find the other 2 jewels, which are a bitch to locate, let in enough of our reality to damage Marduk, and create a platform for us to stand on top of. Then we get to whip the shit out of Marduk. Time your whips correctly just as it comes flying at you, and about half a dozen strikes, Marduk is felled, and Sophia comes tumbling out, safe and sound at last.
What? What is it? Have I got two heads or something?
No, 2 faces maybe.
Pardon me?
You were on Turner's side, right up until the end there.
I never lied. I'm a professional. I was doing my job.
I guess that's human enough.
You bastard.
Let's live to tell this tale.
There's still one more escape to make as the vibrations of Marduk's defeat causes the temple that we need to escape through to start collapsing. Linger too long and certain pieces will take you with it. At the end of the escape, there's still one last treasure to collect, just for shits and giggles, and then we can ascend to the final happy ending.
Well, well. Reds again.
Did you find God, Dr. Jones?
I hope not. Whoever we ran into wasn't very forgiving.
That's a relief. As you know, socialist theory disavows the existence of supernatural powers.
And you expect to win the Cold War?
I expect a long struggle.
Listen, Gennady, you don't happen to have any socialist vodka on hand? I'm thirsty.
And thus ends the story of Infernal Machine. But it's not the end of the game. You remember that secret map I told you about? Well, guess what time it is.
Ah, Peru. It's been a long time since I stood here.
In the iconic opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones traveled through the jungles of Peru to an ancient temple, where after discovering a golden idol, he had to escape the temple before it collapsed on top of him. Now, finally, Indy returns to Peru to investigate the site once more. Purchasing the secret map would allow you to play this level at any time, but since it just magically appears at the end of the game anyway, it's best to save your money and just wait for the good stuff. This whole level is a trip, from top to bottom. A palate cleanser after the doldrums of the Ethereum. After rafting downriver and discovering the place where the boulder nearly killed him last time, Indy dives into the water below and cuts away some vines to work his way through the inner caves below the ruined temple. There's a really difficult to see tunnel that's covered with vines that you'll have to hack away at and swim through in order to discover a spillway where we push a block into place to flood the chamber. Turns out this is the famous drop where Indy nearly fell during his escape from Peru last time. Now, visiting this place, all of the iconic areas, it's an absolute trip. The booby traps that activate blow darts, they still work. The long tunnel where the boulder nearly killed us, we can walk through it. And it's filled with spiders, just like in the film. Behind the altar where the original idol was, we notice a keyhole and a shaft of light. Reverse course to the boulder hall to find the key, which will lead us through a series of climbs to discover a perilously perched boulder. Any wrong move will cause it to fall and crush the good doctor. Fortunately, we find a bamboo pole, which we can use to whip upwards to work our way around so we can drop the boulder safely. Of course, one of the traps that we avoid along the way actually isn't a trap, and it leads to a climbing section where we get to make a really awful jump and finally loosen the boulder, so we can step over it to a set of walkways that look suspiciously like a trap we saw in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Considering this game came first, it only adds to my theory that George Lucas stole this wholesale for the flick. At last, Jones finds himself another golden idol hidden here, but just like last time, taking the idol trips a trap and lets loose another boulder, which you really should not run directly into, and after avoiding will roll backwards and chase you down. Now, stay calm, stay crafty, and use the whip twice to get in out of the ruins. It's still a damn close call.
I still can't speak Ovidos, but this time I guess it won't matter.
And there it is! Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine is complete. Now, while nostalgia and bias towards anything Indiana Jones always places this game as a solid 9 in my head, in reality, this game is actually a 7.5. While the design of the game, the graphical work, and the fun storyline make this feel like a true indie adventure, the sluggish controls, the terrible gunplay, and the sometimes frustrating level design choices hamper this from being a truly exceptional entry into the adventure game genre. For sure, it's absolutely unique and 100% adheres to the Indiana Jones aesthetic, so much so that I felt enraptured by this game in a way that I didn't even feel with Fate of Atlantis. Now, is this worth your time? Most certainly. The game still looks, sounds, feels great, even if it doesn't always play great. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine remains my favorite of the Indiana Jones video games no matter what, and will always have a place in my hardened, bitter heart. I'm Ruby Ranger. Thanks for sticking with me through this massive review. I hope you hit that like button, subscribe for some more, and check out the Quake content I'll be posting throughout this month as we build up towards Quake's 25th anniversary. And I'll see you then.